Hey everybody, my name's Jesse and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about my childhood. I've lived a unique life, let's say, mostly due to my parents. They were off the beaten path. If you've watched some of my other videos on my childhood, you'll know that since the time I was pretty much an infant, my parents moved back and forth from Florida to Washington State, back and forth many times, probably once a year, until I was about 12 or 13. So I would go to school in Florida, then up in Washington or Oregon, and then back in Florida and up back and forth like that. I've been to school in Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington, Florida, and never the same school twice. Always the new kid in school. And I've told you before that we were poor. We never had any money. So you may have asked yourself, how did we manage to get the money to do all that traveling? And that's where this story comes in. My parents had a thing back then that they had a word for it. They called them rips. And as a child, this was just a normal word for me. We're doing rips, right? Which now looking back was just my parents' way of saying stealing without actually saying the word theft or thievery, or I guess it made them feel better about what they were doing, or maybe it, like saying fudge in front of the kids. I don't know. So how it would go down is we just take off driving, normally in some kind of station wagon. That was the normal mode of transport. But one time we did take a Winnebago, a motorhome, which is in another one of my videos. We'd take off like that, driving, and then we'd either go to a Kmart, a J.C. Penney, or like a Montgomery Ward or something like that, one of those stores like that, but almost always Kmart. Kmart was the one we usually went to. And my dad would take me into the store and pick out some clothes for me. It was just easier to take children's clothes than it was adult clothes because they were smaller. So I would take these clothes and go into the dressing room, because a lot of times you had to have the dressing room unlocked by an attendant, store employee. So I would go into the dressing room and I'd just start taking the clothes off the hangers, and then I would start yelling for my dad like I needed his help with something. So then he would come up to the door and I'd open the door for him and he'd come in the dressing room with me. Then he would put the clothes down inside of his cowboy boot, tuck them down inside his cowboy boots. And then he would break the hanger in half and I would put it down in my pants. I remember walking out of the store with that broken hanger digging into my skin. That was the worst part of it. And not to mention just the fear of getting caught, but he never did, so he never got caught. So, and we did it many times, back and forth across the country. Then he would buy something, like one of the items that he had stolen. He would buy one of those items and something smaller, and he would get it on the receipt. He would have a receipt for the items. So then my mom, when we got out there, my mom would return all of the items, even the one he bought. She'd just return it all one at a time and get the refund multiple times. And we would do this clear across the country, just stopping at Kmart's and J.C. Penney's or whatever, you know what I mean? Stopping at malls or clear across the country. And looking back at it now, it's kind of surreal. It's hard to even believe that it happened, but it definitely happened. That's the honest truth. But looking back at it, going through it as a kid, it just seems unreal. You know what I mean? Doing that kind of stuff. Number one, because, I have a hard time putting myself in my father's shoes because I work and provide for my family, where my father never had a job. That was kind of beneath him. And I asked myself, well, why would you have 4 kids? You know what I mean? If it was beneath you to support them. So I don't know. And I'm not on here to complain about my dad or anything. I'm just saying, that I'm confused about it. So I can imagine how y'all are listening to it. But we went back and forth the country. Like, that's how we made it from Oregon in the Winnebago down to Arizona, where they got popped for stealing the Winnebago. That's how we made it down there, was by doing rips. Yeah, that was like his profession, I guess. It was the closest thing the only thing I ever seen him do to earn money. He was a horse trainer on top of that, but he never really made money training horses. It was just a weird thing. He always trained horses, but he never made any money doing it. So another strange thing about my father. He was a character. It was at that young age. It was kind of traumatic because I remember the fear of walking out of the store with these broken coat hangers digging into my skin, and then we had to actually go through the line and pay for an item. You know what I mean? It was traumatic in a way, but in another way those experiences kind of stuck with me. Now as an adult, I know that it's wrong to steal. I mean, logically, I can look at a situation and say, okay, this is bad. This is the wrong thing to do. But still inside me, there's a weird thing where I kind of really doesn't seem that wrong to take from a big corporation like that, a faceless corporation. Now, I don't do that. I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying, inside me, I still carry that little spark of teaching or whatever it was, that thing that my father put inside me about stealing from a big corporation like that. It's still there. I've never gotten rid of that. I don't do it. I do not do that stuff anymore. I work for a living. I work hard for everything I have now. That I would never do anything like that now. But still, if I see somebody on TV stealing from, Walmart or some other big corporation, I'm like, whatever, just inside me, in my brain, I'm like, whatever. They're not really doing it, it's not that bad. So I've never been able to shake those teachings that my father instilled in me at that young age. I've never been able to get rid of them completely. So I can really sympathize with people that have that kind of stuff in different areas of life, in different things. There are a lot of different ways we can be instilled with things like that as young people, as kids, and it stick with us, and we're not even aware of it. But in talking mainly and mostly to my wife about this kind of stuff, because she's the only one I've ever spoken to about it until now, and I'm just blasting it out to the world because of her. She's the one who wanted me to do this, so you can thank her. But until I started talking to my wife about this kind of stuff, I never really realized that stuck with me. That I carried that with me. But I do. And it's, like I said, logically in my thinking brain, I know it's wrong. I would never do it now. It's just foreign to me in my logical brain. But somewhere deeper down inside, that child in me that's still in there, he says it's okay. But nothing wrong with it. So So go figure that one out. I need to see a psychiatrist probably to get that one sorted out. But I'm doing okay with it. I go to work every day and earn a living. So, but I did learn some good things from those crazy experiences. And like a lot of people, you want to do the opposite of what your parents did. And that's kind of what I've done with that. My dad never worked, and I do. I work. I work for what I have. Sometimes, a lot of times I work, 6-7 days a week. So sometimes it's good to look at yourself and look at what you've carried from childhood, and what, some of those beliefs and some of those things that we have, they're not always right. They're not always correct. So, and I'm living proof of that. And I'll leave you there with another one of my crazy stories from childhood. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. What do you think of what I told you? What do you think of the way I grew up? And if this is the first one of my videos that you've watched about my childhood, go ahead and watch the other ones. Some of them are really funny. I've had a crazy life. And if you'd like to support the channel by buying me a cup of coffee, I'll leave the link down in the description. If you're interested in Gen X gear, I'll leave that link in the description as well. And if you don't want to, or you can't support the channel in any of those ways, you can always share these videos on your social media. And if you have any ideas for future videos, please put those down in the comments. I like making videos off of your inspiration. It's really fun bringing your ideas to life on YouTube and on Gen X Thinks. So with that, I'll say goodbye. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.